Let's go to the US now. President Trump is confident he can convince Russia's Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine ahead of likely talks this week. Live to our senior political reporter, Trudy McIntosh. She's in Washington for us. Trudy, where are negotiations up to?
Well, Laura, at this stage, Russia's still yet to actually formally agree to a ceasefire, and there's a lot of scepticism in Europe that even if they do, that Putin will be genuine in his commitments. We saw President Trump, though, in a pre-recorded interview today expressing his public confidence that he personally can get Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire deal. This has been in the works for about a week or so. Last week, Ukraine's president, alongside the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in Saudi Arabia, it's there they agreed to this 30-day ceasefire proposal. The hope is that that would be then extended indefinitely. But the ball is essentially in Russia's court. We saw the US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff in Moscow at the end of last week, a 3 to 4 hour meeting. He gave some details away of that this morning on morning television, but said the next step will be this presidential phone call between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump this week. Likely is the timing on that. Ahead of the phone call, Donald Trump, crystal clear he believes he can do a deal, but he was asked about that campaign commitment where he said he'd end the war in 1 day. He says essentially it was just rhetoric. Have a look.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that. What I really mean is I'd like to get it settled, and I think I'll be successful.
What's the plan if Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire?
Bad news for this world because so many people are dying. But I think he's going to agree. I really do. I think I know him pretty well, and I think he's going to agree.
And on the issue that it's really been dominating domestic politics, global politics really, is the tariffs. Trump's cabinet secretaries now trying to downplay the impact it's having on the markets.
Yeah, we saw trillions of dollars wiped off the US stock market in the space of the last week or so, Laura, and it's really rattled kind of the confidence in whether these tariffs, the on and off again nature that we've seen the president impose, particularly on countries like Canada, that really shakes market confidence. The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, this morning says that we are going through a transition, that this is not a crisis in terms of where the markets are at, that over time things will recover. But he called this a necessary correction in the US stock market.
I've been in the investment business for 35 years, and I can tell you that corrections are healthy, they're normal, that one week does not the market make. We are going to have a transition, and we are not going to have a crisis.
Donald Trump has believed in tariffs for many decades and he's pressing ahead with them. We've also seen a snapshot today of what voters think about Donald Trump's start of his second term in office, and he's at an all-time high in terms of the NBC approval rating. He's hit 47% approval, 51% disapproval in this poll. Now, while that's not a majority, it's previously the highest level that he's received when he was in his first term, so an equal high there in his approval. But as for that mark on how the economy is faring, what do voters think of President Trump's handling of the economy? The stock market boomed in the first Trump term, not so much this time around. Well, 54% saying they disapprove of his handling of the economy. That's the first time he hasn't had a majority on that indicator in that poll. So it shows you, Laura, a level of hesitation amongst voters as to how these tariffs are actually impacting the market.
Yeah, I think that is going to be happening for quite some time as well. He seems hell-bent on imposing them and getting an outcome that's not entirely clear. Trudy, thanks so much. We'll check in with you soon.